Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Business Mastery Show. Thank you for joining me today. And today we have Stephen Essa with us. Now, Stephen is such an exciting guy to talk to because in under 6 years, he's built a global client base and has shared the stage with many of the best and highest profile speakers in the industry. Stephen has excited audiences in Australia, where he comes from, the UK, USA, UAE, Ireland, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Malaya, Cyprus, Singapore, and New Zealand. The list is endless. And today he's here to talk to us. And he has recently been enhancing the life of his clients and helping them generate 4,000, 8,000, 25,000 in a single hour using webinars. And today he's not going to talk to us about webinars. He's going to be talking to us about ways that you can manage your business. So hello, Stephen, and welcome.
Thank you for having me on, Angela. My pleasure, and look forward to this interview.
Thank you. It's great you could join me here in the UK. So, we're going to start off by asking some pretty pertinent questions, really, and you've agreed to share information with me. So, could we start off with what are the key tasks people should manage on a day to day or weekly basis?
Yeah, that's a great question, and as a business owner, it's kind of like a question that every business owner needs to ask themselves. The first process that I work through now with my high paying students and done this exercise myself in my own business, it's first to figure out what it is that you love doing in your business, because if you don't love doing what you're doing, then first you're going to do it badly. And I learnt this from an amazing gentleman called Ernesto Ceroli, who from the Ceroli Institute, who basically teaches basic business practices, which are, one, you need someone doing the sales. Two, you need someone doing the support and the product creation. And three, you need someone doing the admin, the billing, and the bookkeeping, etc. And he said he's never found three in one person. Essentially most business owners, they're good at one thing or two things, but never good at all three. So on a daily basis, you should be managing those things that you enjoy doing in the business and outsourcing everything else to other people, hiring staff and doing that. And for me in my business, I know I've gone through the process of listing all those things down and figuring out what it is that I don't want to do. Because a lot of times as a business owner, you've got to figure out what it is that you shouldn't be doing, and that's a process of elimination, or has been for me. I'm a little bit slow, but it's taken me a while to figure out that I'm the one that does the selling. I do sales via webinars, via live presentations to audiences from anything from 50 to 1,000 people. And then I'm the one who's in charge of building and nurturing JV relationships, which create more business for us. When I started out, though, I was the coach, the consultant, the trainer, the admin person, the bookkeeper, the refunds, and it just was terrible. I couldn't scale the business, and I was suffering. So that question really is depending on the day-to-day practices. You should be managing the things that you're doing. If you're a great manager, then you'll be having people underneath you that report to you, so you'll be checking up on those staff. If you're the salesperson in charge of sales and you've got a team, then you'll be looking after them. But effectively, it's been very good in my business. I've been very fortunate that I've got 5 businesses, but my main business is I just need to focus on one area, and that's generating sales via seminars and
Yes.
webinars.
Yeah, we hear a lot of talk about outsourcing, but one of the things that I'm really interested in covering on this call is the actual practical admin that you need to run your business, whatever aspect of it you're doing. For example, if you've got an online business, you could use pen and paper scheduling and things like that. But what do you feel is the best way for someone starting up in business to control their projects, say, and their daily work tasks? How about online ways of managing your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just a couple of the tools that we use, without boring anyone. I think what we did was we set up about just before I got married in 2012, I set up Gmail for business. And what I like about Gmail as an email tool is that the CIA is spying on you. No, I'm just kidding. What I like about what I
Don't
like about
scare us.
what I like about Gmail for business is that I can basically set up my staff with their own Gmail account, but I manage that from a central location. So if we hire someone new, I can go in there and set up, for example, Angela at x10effect.com. If we hire someone else, I can go in there and set up, so and so at X10Effect. So I control those from one spot. And what's good about that is people who work for my company have my company email address, and if they leave, I can change the password and then we keep that email account. A lot of companies are very sloppy with giving staff email, like staff might be managing email through their computer, through the old way of doing it, through a normal domain. And basically, when your staff leave, the emails end up on their computer. Now, I think using Gmail is a little bit better because it's on the cloud, and you can suspend an account if someone quits or leaves or gets fired. So that's a kind of a bit niftier process there. So Gmail for Business has been really good for our business, and particularly for myself, it's you've got it on your mobile device as well. It's all in real time, and it's in the cloud. So that's very good, which means it's online. Okay, and you can only
Yeah.
access it online.
You can't
So
lose your emails.
you can't lose them as easily. Yeah. So and if you do, yeah, if you're using Outlook or Mail or something like that, which I don't do, I just use the things that are there. So anyway, Gmail's great. They've got file sharing as well. I know you've got a couple of questions about file sharing and Excel, and I basically manage the whole business from like Google Drive, which is used to be called Google Docs, and this comes part of the Gmail service as well. And what that allows us to do is share spreadsheets. Okay, so for example, every different business that I have or different project, I have a different folder in Google Drive. So I'll have we've got a tour right now going for the Web Business Breakthrough event, and inside that Web Business Breakthrough folder, I have a traffic resources, a traffic sources sheet, which updates. That's a spreadsheet that my personal assistant in the Philippines, she fills that in every day, and that she logs into one of our other systems which tracks where visitors are coming from, and she will list all the different people that have sent traffic. So I can log in a heartbeat and just check, oh wow, Angela sent 100 visitors and 10 people signed up. Oh, Bob did this, and oh wow, that Facebook ad that we ran last week, or that newspaper thing, or when I was on TV last week, that drew this much. So we have the business really dialed in that way, and that didn't happen overnight, but it just depends what reports you want to receive. But Google Drive, it's called Google Drive now. It used to be called Google Docs. Essentially, it's just spreadsheets online that you can share with different staff members, and that's been really, really powerful for our business. A great way to manage, and again, it's something that you can have on as an app as well. I've got a little app for Google Drive, as you can see right there. It's got all of the there's a
Oh,
spreadsheet.
yeah.
There's a spreadsheet open already, so I'll just close that and see. There's a bunch of spreadsheets there under that one
Oh,
project. That's
yes,
just one
yes. Yeah,
project.
great.
Okay, so
Thank you.
you can have email templates, FAQs.
Mm.
We even have one for webinars. So I was getting a lot of emails from my staff saying, Steve, people are asking for the replay of the webinar. Because we do webinars every week and then we promote them all over the internet, and different staff members every week would send me an email asking for the same webinar.
Yeah,
So what I did was I
neat.
created a I created a Google Drive spreadsheet for webinars, and every week whenever we record one, we just put it on the spreadsheet, and now everyone is connected to that spreadsheet. Now when a customer asks for a webinar, they know to go to that spreadsheet because it's always centrally updated there. So These are just processes and systems you can put in place thanks to cloud, as opposed to sending a spreadsheet. We all know that, by the time I email you a spreadsheet that I've updated, you might have made changes to that, and now it's like, which one is the correct spreadsheet? Well, doesn't happen with Google Drive because it's all in real time. So we can both be on there updating a spreadsheet at the same time. Now, what I recommend if you are using it is that you periodically download that spreadsheet as an Excel, which it allows you to do, just to make sure you've got a backup in case the cloud, in someone messes it up somehow. But we've been using it now for the last since 2 years,
Yes.
and we've never really had an issue with that. So
Excellent.
another great tool is Basecamp. Basecamp
Oh,
allows you
yes.
to manage. That's more of a project management tool, not full project management where you can create Gantt charts and things like that. Gantt charts, for those people that don't know, are where you can actually timeline everything out to the day, like planning a proper project. It doesn't go that extreme, but it's great because normally what happens whenever we create a new project, and let's say we've got 5 people involved in the project, when you manage it via email, everyone gets CC'd in on it. So you find that you ever get CC'd on an email that you don't need to be CC'd on, but it's just like you've been CC'd anyway. It's just a waste of
Sometimes, yeah.
time. Yeah. So what Basecamp allows you to do, it allows you to create a project, assign it to someone, give it a deadline, okay? And then within that project, you can still say, I want this person, this person, this person, and this person involved in the project. But first, you only send it to the person who needs to know about it. And when you've got the project moving along, that particular task, to the point where, okay, we're ready for the boss and the other person to decide on if they like these graphics we've created to move to the next level, then you can just CC them in on that last section, but they can see all of the progression of that by scrolling back through the history of that project. It's all on one page. So it's a huge benefit, and they might be able to, they look at that and they go, okay, well, if you go back to where you were, I like that design better, and do this, and then sign off, and then when you check the box, it ends the task, and it's just a great tool as well. And Basecamp, .com, you can get that for around $20 a month and manage a bunch of projects.
Yeah.
So, Gmail,
And I
Basecamp,
think you can keep, sorry to
that's okay.
interrupt you, I think you can keep photographs, as you say, designs on there. And I think they also have an option for accounts. You can run accounts out of Basecamp, I think.
What kind of accounts? I've never used it for
Or
that.
sales accounts, I
Oh,
think.
okay,
But
yeah,
there are softwares online that you can run the whole of your business through, including accounts packages and scheduling, planning, purchasing.
yeah,
There are separate ones for builders, say, or engineers, and others that address the needs of consultants, professionals who have appointment systems, and therapists, and people like hairdressers too, who
yeah,
have to have purchasing and also appointment systems. So there's lots of different kinds of online business management. But I knew that you had experience at Basecamp, and I wanted you to share that with my followers.
yeah,
So
absolutely, yeah.
thank
That's
you
it.
for that information. Is there anything else that you would recommend for people who want to run or put the whole of their business management online? Because
Yeah.
Basecamp is great for running meetings and running projects.
Mm.
Um, is
Yeah.
there anything else you would add to what we've been talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, automation and software, I think, we've tried. You need some sort of email marketing software. So you need something that can bulk send messages to your database, your mailing list, your names and emails. And there's lots of good systems out there. There's ones that actually also automatically email your database as well. So if someone signs up today, you can send them an automatic message tomorrow, and then have it programmed to send another one a day later, 10 days later, 100,000 days later. And that's really good for service and support. So when someone buys a product or a service from us, for example, they'll get an email straight away that says thank you for buying. A day later, they'll get an email that says, have you signed up okay? And here's what you need to do next. Um, So that's an email marketing software, and at the bottom level, there's systems that just do that, like aweber.com and getresponse.com, and they're for as little as $15 to $30 a month, depending on how many subscribers you have.
Yeah.
They're great systems, and we've used those, and our students
Mm.
use those as well. And if you want something more advanced, then you've got something like One Shopping Cart, which also has an affiliate program. It also has a shopping cart attached to it, and it has some other features as well, like one-click upsells and other cool stuff. But another system, even probably a bit more advanced than that, is Infusionsoft. And
Yeah.
Infusionsoft allows you to. It's more of a CRM management tool. It's got affiliate program, email marketing. It kind of like lays your campaigns out. It's a little bit more complicated than the other ones, but again, depending on the needs of your business, I think that software can be a bit of a problem in some businesses because it can complicate things. So before you invest in any software, you really need to sit down with someone and figure out first what it is we're trying to achieve and what's the best software to try and achieve that. Because sometimes, even with software, you still need, human beings managing that software. You
Yes.
can have the
Yeah.
best systems in the world. You can have a McDonald's system
Mm.
and have people who aren't trained in it, and they're not going to run it well. It's going to be a disaster. So, you need to basically create a system and train them. And that's what I found a bit flawed with a lot of the softwares. It's one thing to get it, but then you have to design the way that it's going to be used within your business. Otherwise, there's so many different ways that people can use different softwares. For example, Basecamp, I'll use it a different way to what someone else does. So we need to get the team on the same page. How are you using it? How are you using it? How are you using it? Have a meeting, a discussion to see if it can bring about the goal. Infusionsoft was a classic example. Fortunately for me, I started using it a couple of years into the business, and when we migrated across, we had already created a system and a process. So when we looked at their system, we went, how does their system fit into the way we do things already? And too many times businesses don't have a process themselves, and then they go and try and create a software. Now they're trying to learn how to use a software and create a process or a system at the same time, and it's just a disaster because they don't get to maximize the software, and it becomes a bit of a headache as opposed to solving a problem. So automation brings with it its challenges, and I find it's best to
Yes.
sit down with someone who knows, pay a consultant who knows, who uses that software to come in and help you integrate it into the business. It will save you a lot more money downstream
Yes. Yeah.
to do something like that.
And maybe to start small, just
Absolutely.
start with part of your business.
Exactly. Or
Uh,
start
um,
using it yourself, get an
yes.
understanding if you're the business owner, and then see how you go. And don't be afraid to get rid of it if it doesn't work. Like sometimes businesses hang on to
Yes.
things. We just tried this thing called Toggle, which basically, I used to get reports from our staff on what they've done, and that was just an email. Hey, we ask for a daily report, and here's what I ask for. I say, tell me what you've done today. So I want to know like what you've done and how long it took. So I've answered 20 emails and it took me, an hour. I entered the names and emails on this spreadsheet and it took me half an hour. So I used to get a report like that, and then also any challenges they had and questions they have for me all in a report daily.
Yes.
And then my web guy said to me, Steve, there's this amazing software tool called Toggle, which they basically install on their computer, and then whenever they start a task, they click on the task and press start, and it starts timing, but then they have to press stop. And since then, I haven't been looking at the reports because I don't like the way that it prints the reports. So, I just told him the other day, I don't know what anyone's doing anymore, so just cancel it. I'd rather just get the emails from them. I find it easier because when a staff member sends me an email, it takes me 2 seconds to look at it because it's a it says daily
Yes.
report, and then I just go, okay, 15 emails, da, 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 da. So I can see how much work they've got in terms of hours, and especially for overseas outsourcers, I especially want to know how they're going with hours and time. I don't want to give them too much work, but I don't want to give them too little either. So, don't be afraid to dump a software and go back to human as well, because what I find is the more you try and automate, it's quite it's almost impossible with certain products to automate. You're always going to come up with a problem. Okay, you're always going to come up with an issue. I'll give you a good example. We sell $5,000, $10,000 products, right? So someone would say, okay, go to Infusionsoft and set up all the different products. So you go in there, you set up all the different product prices. So you've got one price they can pay in full for $10,000, or they can pay installments, three installments of $4,000, let's say. But then you'll get a customer and you'll set all that up, and then when it's all triggered to go into a system and everything, all your products are done, they're all on the website, and then someone will say to you, can I pay $1,000 now and then $9,000 in one go, or can I pay $1,000 now, then $4,000, and then another $3,000, then $1,000 in December? And you don't want to say no to a customer. So you say yes, and that throws your automation system out altogether, because you've either got to create all those different product links and different things in the system. So at the end of the day, what I've found more than anything, Angela, is it does come back to human engineering that basically make this machine run still. So good staff is still essential
Yes.
to a team. Some of the good things like Infusionsoft, when someone buys from Infusionsoft, we have it triggered to send a task to staff member to give them a welcome call to say, hey, welcome to the program, making sure that you've got this, you've got that. So there's things that are good. There's things that are good, but there's things also that don't get too swept up in the 20%. Focus on 80%, making the money, getting that automation. But that extra
Yes.
20%, if you chase it too much, it's not there. And you should be focused on making
Yes.
the company bigger, as opposed to fine-tuning that little bit.
Yeah. Well, I suppose really then it's still important to develop your own team management skills, because if you're pulling all the strings, you need to be controlling them too. And the
Yeah,
software goes a certain way, a certain distance, but not the whole way.
exactly.
So you have to organize yourself first and then
Spot on.
organize the workflow.
Spot on, spot on. And a great way that people can, when you've got a team, it's one of the biggest challenges for me when I started was, managing people. I was a very good employee, very good at, well, I think so, very good at, doing stuff. But if you put me in charge of a team to manage a team, that's where I wasn't really, really good. I wasn't good at it in the music business where I came from. The band, I used to annoy the band members. I wasn't, I was like very impatient, not a very good, manager of people, but very good. You knew I was always going to be there. I was always going to be ready. I would have new guitar
Yeah.
strings. I was on stage. I would make sure the members,
Reliable.
exactly, reliable. But that's not necessarily a good manager. So I had to relearn a lot of skills about, management. I read a lot of books and things and really fell in love with that whole process. And ultimately, I ended up realizing that I'm not a good manager anyway. But I still tried to do it. I tried to learn those skills,
Yes.
and I understand what it takes to have a good manager now, and what's required. So we now have managers in place that can look after those areas that I don't enjoy managing and I'm not good at. But one of the important things that you can do right now in your business that most business owners don't do. And this is the reason that you have fires in your business. Small businesses are always putting out fires. The reason is that they haven't assigned one of the 5 levels of delegation to their staff on each task that they've assigned to them. Well, if you ask most staff members, what's your job? They'll give you a different description to what the boss will say. Okay, because they've never really sat down and had that training and really gotten clear on what their job description is. But if you sit down with your staff and you say, "This is your job description. Do you understand it? Show me that you understand it. Demonstrate." And then not only that, most people stop there. So what happens when you stop there and the staff member has a problem? They're going to come to you straight away, or they're going to ignore it. One of two people. The person who will just ignore it and go, it's not my job, I didn't know, that's not in my job description, when they see something wrong, or they'll come and ask you. Now, as a business owner, we all know we live in the massive information age and it's the distraction age. it takes, they've done studies on this, and it takes something like, 5 or 10 or 20 minutes to re-engage back into a task that you were doing to get focused again when someone's distracted you. So to teach your staff members to think for themselves and to be proactive and solve problems is really your responsibility. And the way to do that
Yes.
is to assign one of the levels of delegation. And here they are. And I learnt these from Stephen Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The
Yes.
late, great Stephen Covey, who's passed away, sadly.
Exactly.
But the first level, you have to assign one of these numbers to each task. The first level is number 1, and that is ask. If you see something wrong, ask. Okay, for example, if you've got a web designer, he's in charge of the web design. If you see something wrong, ask. Okay, number 2 will be wait till told. Okay, so when it comes to redesigning the website, wait till we tell you. We don't want you to redesign it. We just want you to manage it and back it up, for example. But we don't want you to redesign it. Wait till we tell you
Right.
for redesign. So that's a number 2. Number
Yes.
3 would be bring your recommendations. Hey, if you see something wrong or you think that the website needs to be updated, bring your recommendations to us. So we can, instead of you being interrupted as a business owner, then trying to think of the solution, essentially there's a book called, it's putting the monkey on your back. So the monkey on your back, that's a great book as well that I read. So, they're coming and dumping the monkey on you. So training them to bring their recommendations, you can look at them and say, okay, 3 recommendations, I think we should do that one. Go ahead with that. Or, wait, let's have a board meeting and let's discuss that because it's going to cost money. Thank you very much. So at least that you're training them to think for themselves. So level 3 is the area that I always want to assign to any task. If you assign a level 1 or 2 or you don't assign something, by default, people are going to say, no one told me, or they're going to come and bother you with it. So if they are
Yeah.
going to come and bother you, I want at least some recommendations of what they think that should be done.
And you've given them the job, so it's ultimately their responsibility to come up with at least one solution.
Exactly. I want a few solutions. Ideally at least 2,
Yes.
just so that we've
Yes.
got something to pick from. But number 4 would be a level 4 would be do it and report immediately. So that is basically where they see something wrong, they fix it, and then they let you know via email, or they phone you, or they text you,
Yes. What
hey,
they've
I've done
done.
this. Yeah, a good example of this recently, I always tell my admin department, this is the process. Here's how you handle a refund, or here's how you handle an installment that declines, here's how you handle whatever. And this is what they're getting as part of that product. Now, every now and again, I might change the product because, I'm doing a new event and I throw in a new bonus and I forget to tell them. So recently, a customer called up our billing person and said, "Oh, Steve said I get this product," and I've trained the staff member to say, "No, this is what we get." So the staff member has to back themselves, and then the staff member contacted me and said, "This customer said this." And I said no, and I said, actually, I apologize because I didn't tell you, but the customer was right. So I could quickly just call the customer and go, listen, you
Yes.
just spoke to so-and-so in my billing department. I
Yes.
apologize. I hadn't told them yet, but yeah, you still get that bonus, so that's no problem at all. And the customer's happy. I could easily have the staff member call that customer back and say, I apologize, I've spoken to Steve, and yes, he did promise that, and he hadn't told me about it, so I apologize. There isn't a customer that's going to get too upset about that if it's
No.
done immediately. Okay, and then the 5th level is do it and report periodically, which means do it and report once a day, once a week, once a month, once a quarter. Let us know. So, and that's total automation at that point. Now, Stephen Covey said when you manage, the average manager can manage 7 people and be very, very busy, right? But if you're a manager and you manage people that way with the 5 levels of delegation, he said you can manage up to 15 to 20 people
Wow.
when you manage that way. So that's the power of,
Yes.
again, it's human engineering, not so
Yes.
much just software automation.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing up about delegation because it's something I'm very keen on. And in my 5 secrets of business success, I include a section, a webinar dedicated to things like managing people and delegating. But you've just caught the essence of it there so beautifully. So thank you, Stephen, for
You're
that.
welcome.
That's excellent. Now, I want to just ask you, what are you working on at the moment? What's your baby at the moment, your project that you're really excited about?
Oh wow, there's not one. There's too many.
Well,
Um,
let's hear.
yeah, absolutely. Well, at the moment we're on tour with our event called the Web Business Breakthrough, and
Yes.
at that event we take someone from the audience and we build them a web business from scratch. And we launch it on the Sunday, 2 days later, and we generate anything from $2,000 to $22,000 in that, and that's kind of like what we're doing at the moment. We're having a lot of fun with that. We just did Perth. Last weekend we did Melbourne, and then just this past weekend we did New Zealand, and we're flying down to Sydney in the next 2 weeks and doing Brisbane soon as well. And we've done this in 12 cities around the world, and I love it because it basically shows that anyone with an idea or expertise, with knowledge,
Yes.
with any sort of skill, we can take that and monetize it now with the information age, with the internet. You know, my friend calls it the me economy. You can monetize what you know, and that's what we sort of do. And that's a lot of fun at the moment. But I'm also having a lot of fun creating our software, which I've totally outsourced. I don't do anything in that, but we're due for a new release in our webinar replay software called the Webinator, and I'm looking forward to that. That's been a good little project where I was heavily involved and managing it on a day-to-day basis, where I haven't touched it for, haven't touched it
Yes.
for 6 months. So that's been fun too. And another company which we just hit the $2 million mark in the third year of business, and we just did a joint venture with a guy who's going to turn that business into $5 million in the next 12 months, and then the year after 10 million, and we
Wow.
might sell it. So that's been scaling up that business, which I don't do any selling, I don't do any product. I might spend 2 hours a week on that business, if that, and it's a company that I started with a business partner, so I have a 50% equity in that business. So there's lots of different projects to do.
Brilliant. So if people want to know more about you and your businesses, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you want to know more about me, then you could probably head over to steveessa.com. I've got a webinar presentation there that talks about my business model, how I do business, thanks to webinars, and my medical center style of doing business, where you take a piece of many businesses to have financial freedom. And yeah, steveessa.com would be the place to check that out.
Excellent, excellent, Stephen. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me today
You're
and
welcome.
sharing your knowledge and information with people who are tuned into this webinar, interview. And I have to say, thank you for participating yet again and sharing with us.
You're
Thank you
most welcome.
very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Bye.